This is Dale Maharaj. This is the last show in the 1980s for this blog series on the early years of our book, Someplace Like America. Man, did Michael Williamson and I get the reviews on our first book. Little ones, big ones. Wichita Falls, Newsday, Minneapolis, all over. And we even landed a New York Times Sunday book review. We didn't know how good we had it. The New York Times review was a glow. The reviewer loved the book, Bert Atkinson. Little did I know, in my 8 books and in Michael's 10 books, this is the only one ever to be reviewed in the Sunday New York Times book review. One bit of notice that was very personally rewarding to me was the Sunday magazine of the Cleveland Plain Dealer excerpted a chunk of the book and put it on the cover. There's nothing like a victory lap in your hometown. Tom Farron wrote a wonderful column. He described how we started this project, how they'd heard about it when we set on the road, and how fitting it is that it appears in a 1,000-mile blanket, which is what hobos call the Sunday newspaper. And the reviews kept coming. Bob Green gave us a wonderful column. Not all these were good reviews, though. There was a mix. People magazine panned us, among some others. We had the highs, the lows. But hey, that comes at the turf, I've learned. And we had some fun with the publicity. Drew Doyle from KXPR, local NPR affiliate in Sacramento, she wanted to ride the rails and do a story. So we took her out on a trip. We even got Drew drinking. We had a heck of a lot of fun working with her. It was great. Drew, if you're out there, I hope you remember your hobo days. And we got some local recognition. The local magazine gave us some award. But we were still working stiffs. We had those day jobs. Somehow, we managed to keep everything afloat, doing the promotion and working at the newspaper. We couldn't have done it without Dorothy Kupcha, Michael's friend who ran a public relations agency. For a very minor fee, I believe she earned about $0.10 per hour, she worked it hard for us. She got us on over a dozen TV shows all over the country, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, L.A., and cable news network, CNN, then relatively new. Michael was on it. So Michael did CNN solo. We did a lot of them together. It's whatever we could get free from work, pretty much. Even got on Stud Turkle's radio show. In Los Angeles, we got on George Putnam's radio show. And this 1930s hobo wrote us this very nice postcard. This was our first book and a lesson in you never know who reads you or hears you on the radio or watches you on television. Sometimes it's a 1930s hobo. Other times it's Bruce Springsteen who calls. That year, Michael and his wife moved into a very nice house in the Curtis Park neighborhood in Sacramento. The local newspaper ran a little brief about that, but his marriage was in ruins. The couple was going through a divorce. Michael was having a rough time. So was his wife, obviously. I was having my own issues. I couldn't keep a relationship. There was somebody in my life who'd left me, and I was devastated. In August, we began the next project. We went to Alabama to begin working on what would become our second book. Although we didn't know it at the time, we were going to go to Alabama and look for the descendants and survivors of the sharecropping families that James Agee and Walker Evans documented in their famous book, Let Us Now Praise Famous Men. We got to Alabama, Hurricane Elena struck, we covered that. Then we came back and started finding members of the families. We were captivated. It was an amazing project. People were very powerful. We were moved by their stories. So we found some of the places that Walker Evans photographed. And we found some of the same people 50 years later, and Michael took their picture. This book would be published in 1989, and it would win the Pulitzer Prize in nonfiction the next year. No one was more surprised than us by that fact. So in October, Michael threw me a surprise birthday party in Old Sacramento at a restaurant. It was very nice. I was really down. And I needed that boost of friends that were there that night. We weren't slowing down. We just kept moving. Right away, we started planning to go cover the revolution in the Philippines. We got the paper somehow to agree to send us. When we were all over that island nation. On Mindanao, in the far south, we went on a patrol with Philippine Marines. We were 3 days in the jungle, and the goal was to get shot at by the guerrillas. 3 guys were killed in our platoon. They hit a landmine. And then we went to the island of Negros. It was called the Ethiopia of Asia. Children were starving to death. It was just incredible poverty. This 2-year-old girl weighed 10 pounds. We covered anti-Marcos protests. But the most powerful story is when we went to Smoky Mountain, the dump for Manila. 4,000 people lived right on the dump in shanties. Not next to the dump, on the dump. The lead of my story says it all. When you went to visit this place, you bought boots, and when you left, you threw them out. You did not even try to wash them. The trucks would bring in refuse, shit, literally human shit, and the people combed through it looking for things to sell for scrap. I saw boys cracking open aerosol cans and inhaling the contents to get high. I still can't believe what we saw. It was a new level of poverty. I don't know how much lower a human being could go than the Smoky Mountain. And we were there Christmas Day. The newspaper was trying to bust our union, and they gave us this retroactive pay to take back all kinds of things in our contract. And the majority of our colleagues had signed away our rights, and they gave us about $1,200. And Michael took that money. I didn't know this until after he did it. $1,200, and he went out in the streets of Manila, and he just gave it away dollar at a time to every poor person he saw that day. That was how Michael spent his Christmas. Anyway, I'm going to stop the show here and jump forward to 1995 in the next installment when Bruce met us. The rest of the 80s, let's just say, were just as intense as what you've seen in these shows. It was a very, very a wild decade. And then to things that were going to happen we could have dreamed of in our wildest imagination. Among them, the fact that Bruce would contact us and he would be inspired to write a couple of songs on our book.